Console online. HPG connection online. Educational module online. All systems nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of BattleMechs podcast, episode 103, The Awesome, Part A. I am your host, Brent Stewart. My co-hosts today are...
I'm Chandler.
I'm Derek.
And joining us for this auspicious occasion is the contemporary, the individual who has given this community more than I think we could possibly give back to him, the one, the only, Mr. Tex.
I don't know. Thank you. It's just that I always like to praise my team. I'm just the that people can listen to, but it's always a beautiful team effort.
Do you want me to redo that?
No, it's
Okay.
it's fine. It's fine because it's part of the discussion now, and we can organically grow from there, you know?
Absolutely. You know what? That is a fair point. I mean, as the person who will say takes point on this little production,
Sure.
I try to make a concerted effort to credit everybody for their valued contributions because we're a team.
Right. Yeah, it's the other thing is that a lot of people will think that just because they can hear my voice in a very, again, cultured and manicured view of it, that must be the sole sum of everything. And I always try to remind people that just because I'm the clown on stage doesn't mean I have a whole circus backing me.
Mm-hmm. Also, I think people underestimate how much editing goes into these productions, both mine and yours, probably.
It's an unhealthy number. It's a very unhealthy number.
I had no idea how much editing went into this till Brent literally was like, "Hey, you want to help? You want to help edit?" I was like, "Sure." And then hands it to me, and I'm sitting there staring at it, just being like, "Wait a minute, what?" I thought it was just like, I thought it was click a few buttons, call it a day, and I'm sitting here for like 2 hours just working through my first thing.
He ropes you in with his Canadian charms and then dumps it on you.
It's the syrupy maple syrup voice of the Canadian dialect that disarms you, you know.
Yeah. Makes you believe that it's really not that much. It's just it's a nice, easy thing to do, and you're like, I'll help, like, no problem. And then hours
5
later,
hours
you're like, what in God's name have I gotten myself into?
Anyway. So Mr. Tex, a fantastic guest host for a awesome machine, The Awesome.
One of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. We're happy to have you, and we're going to swing right into it because that's just what we do. So, The Awesome was designed and commissioned by the Star League by Techron Manufacturing. It used the aging Stalker design as a starting point and grew from there. What it grew into is one of the most respected and feared designs to withstand the succession wars. The Awesome is, ironically, the tip of the spear or the shield that stops it. This is why there's the adage, the only way to stop an awesome is with another awesome. While the Awesome is not fast, it is the tip of the spear in that it can break through the defenses of a encampment or force by sheer firepower and endurance. The endurance is due... Sorry?
Oh, no, sorry.
Someone breathed heavily, so he paused.
Yeah. Feel free to interject at any point, but
I'm a historian, so I'm like, yes, like, yes, he covered that. I'm doing the mental checklist, like, all right, good. No, I'm sorry. All historians do this. We sit behind each other in presentations, and we're like wringing our hands. You know, it's good.
All right. Well, I hope I get a passing grade at the end of the episode.
You do. No, it's fine.
No, you've already got a -2. You accidentally said Stalker instead of Striker.
Well, you also said you didn't say Technicron Manufacturing of Savannah, a Free Worlds League corporation.
How dare you not credit the Free Worlds League, the best of the great houses? That is not biased at all.
To be fair, in my defense, later I say that the Free World League got them to subcontract to where is it? Ireland Industries, so I credit Free World League anyway.
Well, no, what's interesting about it is Technicron Manufacturing in BattleTech is one of those companies that makes a lot of stuff that just sits in the background, and it's like a really solid background actor. So like the Invader jump ship that you see everywhere, that's Technicron Manufacturing. They are a common household name. They also make all of the capital scale missiles in the setting. So it's like, oh yeah, it'd be like General Dynamics, like nuclear warhead designer. And they're like, you know what? We'll make a mech. Why not?
That I actually didn't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, I just went and looked it up.
Yeah, they're still in the, hey, let's produce some new stuff, because they produce the armor that goes on the new Region battle mech, which is like the baby of the Awesome and the Hoffman.
And well, yeah, and I mean, they're also the guys who made the Quick Draw. I mean, they're a company that gets around. They're one of these companies that's like, in my mind,
they're bread and butter.
Right. They're like, you know what? We'll make something that's pretty good, and you'll like it. And if not, you can go yourself, because I'll sell nukes to your neighbor. You know.
As one does.
The Awesome can endure through its sheer firepower and endurance. The endurance is due to the massive amount of armor allowing it to sustain heavy firepower, and its typical 3 PPCs allow it to reply in force. A resilient design, it has made its way into every major military unit, in some capacity or number, but House Merrick controls the majority as they retain the only functional factory during the Succession War. That is until Ireland Battlemechs Unlimited signed a deal with them. It is of note that the Federated Sons had a minor production facility on Demeter operated by Lycombe Davian Introtech to help address their Awesome needs and desires. With the Helm Memory Core and the Clan Invasion, the Awesome was exported to every great house and upgraded with this new technology, and became more common to see. Another common thing to see is a machine retiring from the field instead of facing an Awesome. All that being said, there are weaknesses that the Awesome must contend with. Its heat buildup and slow mobility. As double heat sinks became more common, the heat issue was, let's say, mitigated. And as for the mobility, it is just a cost of the heavy armor and high firepower. And so the Awesome is a machine that definitely needs to be screened and supported. The Awesome is a slow boy, but it almost never gives up the territory it takes. And given its common long-range profile, its weapons loadout is not something you want to rush.
You know, I was trying to remember where the was built, and one of the 3 sites I can remember when I was doing my research is there was one site that was on a planet named Tongatapu, which is named after Tonga from the Kingdom of Tonga in the South Pacific. And I was like, why do I remember that? That the whole time I was like, what else do I remember off the top of my head? And I realized the data was increasingly peripheral, and I'm like, I've got nothing. I'm gonna let the man talk.
Look, man, it's one of those names that just sticks in your mind. Like,
well,
you read it and you're like, that's a weird name. And then you look into it a little bit, you're like, cool. And then it just never leaves the back of your mind. Never.
It's like the name Tortuga.
Right. Everyone's got something that they've read once, and it just sticks in their brain. And then someone will just go, mitochondria, and then someone else in the room will go, that's the powerhouse of the cell.
Our science teachers would be so proud.
Now that you mention it, yeah. I'm thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, I literally had a conversation like that on Friday.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's those moments where you're like, oh my God, there is some sort of gestalt consciousness going on. This is weird.
The memes. The meme snake.
If you don't think conditioning like Pavlov's dog can be put to humans, just say the number 69 around a group of people and someone will be like, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know, man. I just say round up.
I mean, Brent, you're not wrong. I have literally seen that in action, so...
Yeah.
We're a tribe. We like simple things. As far as the stately Awesome goes, if I may posit with a humble opinion as a man who, on occasion, talks Battletech, the Awesome is, for all intents and purposes, the bulldozer, the killdozer, if you will, of the Succession Wars. It is simple. It works. It has few things to go wrong with it. And if those do go wrong, it has a fist to sort things out as God intended. I rest my case that the Succession Wars in many cases were predicated on it being the very uncomplicated Rock of Gibraltar upon which Kirita and other people using lesser, lighter mechs would throw themselves and gamble their lives dearly.
Yeah, the Awesome very literally is the rock or the shore that breaks the waves of invasion, and it withstands the test of time. And luckily, the first model doesn't have a lot of fancy tech for it to lose during the Succession Wars. It is robust, it is simple, it is elegant.
And Brent, with that, I believe we're done here, because, I mean, that's everything. Yeah.
That's awesome. A and B, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Our sources for today
over.
are
The internet and good taste. Our sources are the internet and good taste. Good day.
And gin.
Play the outro music.
Module complete.
In actuality, we have the design quirks of it having a battle fist in the left arm, which of course it pairs nicely with that small laser it typically has in the head. But now I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
We call that the strong hand. That's what
The
it's
strong
for.
left hand of
The strong
Elite.
hand. No, you just sit there and people are like, "Did I hear you stutter, son, or do I have to reach for the strong hand?"
You grab my strong hand.
Exactly, dude. You can say, "Don't make me use the strong hand." You can, as they say on the street, cut their head back to the fat meat and lay out via some, cranial compression, a variety of pimp slaps that will remove any number of pilots' long and short-term memories, vis-a-vis immediate application of traumatic brain injury.
Oh yeah, most mechs, its arms are already at head height when it's at a 90-degree angle. It doesn't even have to flex that elbow; it just has to swing.
Mm-hmm. Momentum is a thing, and that battle fist adds some momentum.
Well, exactly, and it's like these hands are made for punching, and that's just what they'll do. And you just start throwing hands. That's always an option.
And if you get too close, this hand is going to punch you.
Exactly. It's one of those things where I find people have a very warped view of BattleTech where they will go, that mech's bad. And I'm like, why? And they go, I played MechWarrior Online. And I go, okay, that's like saying, right, but that's like saying, that coffee's bad. And you go, why? And they're like, well, I drank it out of that gas tank over there. And I'm like, well, your source was not very good now, was it? And when you say that to some people, they get a little mad.
Look, man, I like my torpedo alcohol, okay?
Look, man, if you want to do some torpedo juice cocktails, that's fine. But swill is swill. I enjoy pulp. I enjoy trashy novels. I enjoy fan fiction. I read all sorts of that I know is bad for me. I watch B movies. I own half the Canon Films collection, and I will die loving those films. I'm a man who loves, but what I'm saying is MechWarrior Online is to BattleTech as whatever the McDonald's serves as ice cream is to actual ice cream.
Fair.
And the reason I point that out, the only reason I bring that up is not just to throw shade. The only reason I bring that up is very simple. People who play a game that does not allow you to use the full run of a mech's abilities, e.g. being able to slap the shit out of people, easily melee people, knock people down, clothesline them, allowing you to do all the stuff you can do in tabletop, all the stuff you can do in Harebrained Schemes BattleTech. I saw a fan who said, I've been a MechWarrior fan for 10 years and I didn't know mechs could punch people. I'm sure glad Harebrained Schemes put that in. I want to show people that you can do everything. There is nothing stopping you from beating with another in BattleTech. Nothing. There is nothing.
I have like a very specific story that I have that makes me...
Oh no.
Please.
Playing MechWarrior 4 online back in the day, you could, DFA and it was not super effective. Like you would kind of bounce off each other and there would be some damage.
Right. The games aren't made for that. Yeah.
Exactly. But I was like, you know what? I'm playing on an urban combat. I've got a Shadowcat. This is a pretty good opportunity. There is a assault mech directly below me, and I'm on top of a building. Let's go for it. I just walk off. I don't even jump. I just walk off and, go down. The collision physics were hit. I glide forward, like T-pose, my people need me style, off the hitbox of the mech and fall down like in the spectacular like MechWarrior 4 machine sprawl that you would see when something like truly bad happened. I took an insane amount of damage and like just a fraction of a sliver came off their like left torso or something like that. And I'm just like, well,
that's
that shit.
And the reason I'm mad at that is because it shows people a side of the game that is limited by a game engine's ability to calculate these things, not by reality in the setting. Melee combat has a huge place in the lore and a huge place in the setting. There's a reason why like the Charger and the Axeman clap out there in BattleTech. There's a reason why these things throw down.
The Hatchet Man is superb.
Exactly. There's a reason why these things work, and so people go, Fizz, and then they go play MechWarrior Online, where there's things like Ghost Heat. Ghost Heat. Ghost Heat.
Better heat up those ghosts.
Well, no, it's because the game says if you have all of one kind of weapon, as MechWarriors do, because having weapons all in one size like Unified Battery has been a principle in artillery batteries since there's been measurement. And so when people do that naturally to have universal range of fire and engagement, the game goes, you can't do that. I need to add extra heat to you to make sure you don't have fun. I think that's BS.
That's rubber banding, basically.
Yeah, it's not only that. It's when you remove the player's right to choose, when you remove a player's agency, and you say, this is what it is because I say it is, that's BS. And that's why I like that you have this podcast. We're looking at all aspects of it, and you point out something great with Battle Fists. In Battle Fists, in something like an Awesome, you can have all your arms shut off. In MechWarrior Online, that means you're dead. In tabletop, it means you are the third monkey walking up the planked Noah's Ark, and brother, it's starting to rain. It's time to start clapping people, knocking people senseless. It's time to go down like a Chad hero. The battle has just begun at that point. But when you remove that from players and you go, oh, all you can do is just stand there, it makes you not feel like a hero or empowered. In fact, it just reveals that they didn't think about that. And it's very sad.
Yes.
Can I have you commentate my next Alpha Strike game?
Why?
You're gonna love the fact that I just throw around an Axeman just running after people.
Well, it's how it should be. I mean, I am very, very against someone telling me what I have to enjoy or what I have to play. I'm a person who doesn't like what people will call the meta, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I want.
So the way I run it, sorry to cut you off.
No, please. It's your podcast. Go for it.
Is the way I think of it is you've got like the established canon, which is like, you know, all of the hard written source book stuff that you read and all of that. And that is like, you know, the completeness of it all.
Sure.
And then you have everybody playing, which is taking as much or as little of it as you want and modifying some things or not, or what have you, or like or misinterpreting things, because that stuff happens as well. And that's your BattleTech universe.
Exactly.
It doesn't affect anybody else.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I've talked about that on my podcast where I say I love the Traveler setting because there is a hard-written Traveler setting, and then there is your Traveler setting where you've made whatever changes. You said, you know what, these races, I don't want psychics in my setting. They don't fit. You just remove it. Yeah. That's your Traveler setting. Make it yours. And I agree with that 1,000%.
Oh yeah, I had a buddy who DM'd for us a lot for D&D in college, and I certainly influenced him to force me to not be Warforged because.
And good choice. Good choice. It's one of those good choice. I just very seriously like.
Yes, choice. Very good, sir.
Yes. Yeah. Harumph. But no, the point is that I find that, yes, everyone has a point of view. Like, let's say you came into BattleTech and your point of entry into BattleTech as a child was like the BattleTech cartoon, right?
I mean, technically that was mine, but that was one of those things where, like, after playing the games and reading the novels, something jarred and I was just like, oh, my childhood, you know?
Yeah. And or what if your intro was, for example, the novels? What if your intro was MechWarrior 2? Any of these points without context is one lens of the setting. Because if you read a novel, you're reading one author's view of the setting. And if you read one author's view of what a mech can do versus another author's view of what a mech can do, even separated by years, the same author, you will find different opinions as it shows up and slight differences. Or you can play a game. MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries is one of the greatest MechWarrior games of all time. No melee combat either. So even as good as that game is, as great as the campaign is, and as cool as all the different mechs and options and running your own mercenary, it's still limited, and it's a limited lens of a view of just one, not only in terms of concept, but limited also by scope. The game ends by Tukiid. So again, that is a view of one tiny piece. MechWarrior Online, it's a view of a later part. MechWarrior 4, post 3067. I mean, each of these is one slice, one lens of Battletech. And part of the challenging thing, especially in a podcast or a video on history, you have to pull people's lens back so they see the giant tapestry of all of these things and how they play together to create an overall history. And that's kind of been my aim with this. And I love that people play Alpha Strike or people play old OG hard version of Battletech with the enhanced rules and all the splat books, or if people only just play the RPG or whatever, I'm fine with it. And I love that they love that aspect of it. And I love that that is dear to them and they can share it with their loved ones. And I have no hate for any of that. I just want to make sure that people can pull their view back by about 10, 15 degrees to see how it all connects in one tapestry.
No, definitely. I mean, I think you really hit on it. Like, one of the things I absolutely love about Battletech, the universe, is that how big or how granular do you want to go? Because you can do the entire, like, operatic nation-spanning invasions. You can do, like, the very personal, grounded, this person's story. You know, like, you can do the big battles. You can do the Solaris matches where, like, you're taking rolls on, you know, will this fisticuff disable this laser so you'll survive the next round, sort of thing, you know.
Do you want to know why Battletech is amazing as a setting?
I mean, there's a long list, but please give me yours.
It's very simple, and this is why people get into Battletech. I've had people come to me and say, I want to get my friend into Battletech, I don't know how. And I said, either they're into it or not. And here's the way you can tell if they're into it. You ask that person, what are your top 3 movies, right? And so they'll mention them, and they'll say, like, Fistful of Dollars. And you're like, oh, Western, huh? All right. What's your next one? And they'll say Seven Samurai, or, you know, whatever. And you're like, okay. Ronin, revenge story, you know, okay. And then they'll say, like, The Wild Bunch. And you're like, another Western, different, darker, good, okay. And then you realize, wait, their top 3 entertainment genres, their top 3 things are all very much Battletech. What is more Battletech than revenge against someone who's slain your fallen master and chasing them to burn down their castle? Or the guy who's following a story of personal, you know, treasure, and he's trying to find a map out there, and there's some other treasure hunters also out in the periphery looking for this Castle Brian, and there's going to be a showdown for it. All of these things automatically overlap Battletech. You can have your wonderful white hat versus black hat cowboy story. You can have that against any backdrop you want, and it's a wonderful setting for all of those things, and you can explore that in 1,000 ways.
I mean, I absolutely agree.
Yep.
Sorry,
absolutely killed the momentum.
No, I'm sorry. I'm all jacked up on caffeine. I work really long hours, and I have no one preventing me from doing that. So I'm just one of those people that is constantly on the go and doing things. But it's seldom I actually sit down and allow myself to be, I guess, interviewed, because I'm somewhat of a hermit. So when I do come out, I just tend to swing out ideas I've had, and I apologize if any are too terribly jarring.
Oh, no. Nothing jarring. It's just more of like, I completely agree. I'm not sure where to go from that, you know.
We can go wherever you wish.
A good place to go is just right into our model lists.
Oh, of course.
Smooth.
Our first model today is the AWS-8Q.
Standard.
Seen in 2665. And this is, you know, the standard entry-level awesome. This is got a movement profile of 3.5. It's got a small laser in the head. It's got a PPC in the right torso. It's got a PPC in the left torso. And it's got a PPC in the right arm. It has 28 single heat sinks. And it has no fancy special tech or weight savings. It is le standard.
Yeah, I wouldn't say le standard, because I'm going to tell you this. There's plenty of things that are less standard, as you put it, in Redditese, and I will put it to you this way. There are a lot of cars I've driven out of the box that are more or less standard, but I will tell you this much. A lot of horsepower, even if equipped standard, is a lot of horsepower. And while it is unassuming, you have to at least embrace the concept, at least notionally, that for you to call it a standard means it is the thing by which you judge everything against. And thus, by default, it is the pillar.
I mean, it is because it's the first.
Well, I know. But I mean, the standard as far as mechs go, name another mech and its tonnage that does its job cheaper.
I will heartily agree that the awesome is a very high watermark.
I consider, can it out awesome an awesome wire in? And if it's that, then the flowchart goes to, is it more or less expensive to field than an awesome? And then a lot of people go, how dare you? That's really mean. When you get to that part of the flowchart, it's
I
like,
thought we were friends.
right. But it's one of those mech flowcharts with hierarchies where people are like, good, better, best, good, better, best. I hate the meta. I hate the meta. It's like all the Instagram operator stuff where people's like, here's my Gucci gun with all the stuff on it. And I'm like, yes, that's very smart to show strangers all the weapons you carry on your person. That's very secure. Thank you for doing that. But when it comes down to common sense, like, okay, is it better than what's out there? Like anything in military procurement. Is it better than what's out there? Yes or no? There's plenty of things that are better. Is it better and way more expensive? Because you can always buy a better thing. But is it a successive replacement of technology? Does it give you another generation of advantage over what you have? If the answer is no, you have awesomes like everyone else.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I rest my case. 8Q forever.
If just to put it into perspective, according to Megamech, the 5 cheapest mechs in intro tech, 4 of them are awesomes. If you go by C-bill
you.
price.
Thank
And
you.
the only one that's cheaper is the Charger Challenger, which is not bad. I mean, it has 4 large lasers.
Look.
It'll mess you up.
It is not bad, but the Challenger will never be categorized as good.
Hey, whoa.
I am going to talk about the Charger.
Or Charger, sorry. Yeah.
I have finalized my thesis title, and for those of you out there who know what this means, you're going to start giggling. But my summation of it is full send. It is
just send it, bro.
yeah, it is the thesis of that battle mech is full send. If I had to come up with a thesis of awesome, it's so you and what army? it's just one of those things. I'm like, in Lord of the Rings where they go, they've got a cave troll. Replace that with awesome, and that's every 5 minutes in the Succession Wars. They've got an awesome.
For all you youngins, it's just the Avengers. I've got an army. We've got an awesome.
But yeah,
accurate. Yeah.
So this guy has a battle value of 1605 and a point value of 39, that being the 8Q. And it is a high watermark for a first model. It is completely introductory tech and very, very strong. Like we've mentioned, it has got a lot of armor, which makes it survive on the battlefield for quite a while. We see a new model in about 20 years after that. That would be the awesome AWS-8R, seen in 2683. And this is the LRM boat. It's got a movement profile of 3-5, small laser in the head, LRM 15 in the right torso, LRM 15 in the left torso, large laser in the right arm. It's got 28 single heat sinks, 2 tons of ammo for the LRM in the center torso, and no case, no weight savings, no protection. You can go boom. It has a lot of armor, but it doesn't have a lot of viability considering if you're opening up with your LRMs, you've only got 8 rounds of effective fire.
Look, man, you only need 8 rounds of Jose Cuervo.
That's
No?
fair.
No one?
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Thank you, Tex.
Jose,
You got it.
you can punch many tickets with Jose.
Yes.
Not ones you want to take.
No.
Now, mind you, as Hunter S. Thompson said, punch the ticket, take the ride, right? and with an awesome or some Jose Cuervo, you're there. You're there. It's not gonna be a good time because if you're driving an awesome, things have not gone well. But it will be a good time. We'll see.
It's kind of that. You're wondering how I got here.
Yeah. Freeze frame.
Yeah.
I will say that the 8R is my second favorite introductory tech awesome.
I don't know. The 8R is a weird one. And the reason why I think the 8R is the weird one is because it's confused
Yes.
as
Yes.
LRM 15s. And okay, here's the thing. Here's one thing that MechWarrior Online and many other games will do. Show you is real-time hit simulation. Because in tabletop, if you're bad at math, like, okay, if you've ever overdrawn your bank account, don't drive an awesome. You will not do the math right in tabletop, and you will explode if you've ever done that. Because every time I shoot the PPC, something is heating up. However, what's great in a cockpit and a simulator, and this is where MechWarrior Online can actually help you on both ends. It can show you what heat looks like. So you pull the trigger once and the gauge goes up. You pull the trigger twice and the gauge goes up. And then your brain goes, 2 dangerous, 3 bad, right? And then that translates to tabletop, and that's fine. Here's the problem with the 8R. You don't have 3 things that are each a part of that dial. So Succession Wars, Light Bright, or Simon Says heat management doesn't work. You're not like, it's not rules of thirds, like 1, 2, 3 off. You have 2 LRM-15s, and then you have the, large laser?
Yep.
So now you're managing 2 heat systems. And here's the other thing. LRM-15s are okay. In Succession War, not so great. And no.
They're fine.
No. I'd rather have 3 PPCs any given day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather have 3 large lasers, honestly.
I like it because it's weird.
I don't think 3 large lasers is a bad idea.
I mean, it's a little more heat neutral, too, so...
So why don't you like the Challenger Charger then, Brent?
It just...
Yeah,
it's
Brent.
so,
It's
so
got
derpy.
4. It's got 4 large lasers. 4 of them, Brent.
It just tries to be too fast, and its armor
It isn't
suffers, and it
fast,
goes
though.
to...
It only goes to
I said
85.
it tries.
Okay, Diablo 3 tried, but that was its sin, right?
It sent it in the trying phase.
I'm just saying.
Well, the 8R's got a battle value of 1470 and a point value of 38.
Right, but how much honor are you going to lose when you say, I took an 8R? You could have taken an 8Q. You could have been a man, but you didn't. And people will remember that. People will remember, it's the 8R guy. It's Rocket Guy. It's the guy who thinks rockets are what belong on the awesome. If you lose in an 8R, you will lose forever. You will lose. People will remember that. They will haunt you on your
That's how
grave.
you get the call sign Rocket Man.
Yeah. They will write on your grave, did a 4v4, 8,000 BV, took 8Rs. They will write that under your name. You could cure cancer. They'll put that under it.
You're like,
Don't be
Chandler.
that guy.
Lol took awesome 8Rs.
Cured cancer, tasting awesomes.
Not incorrect.
It's all right, though. It's all about fun, because imagine on the flip side, if you're the guy that actually proved they're good, you could create a meta that doesn't need to exist.
Exactly.
That's what I love about BattleTech, is I've seen people like, Urbies are That was the thing people said for 30 fucking years. And I'm like, go play them. And I'm like, wait, they can all do DFAs? Wait, they all have AC-10s? Wait, they're cheap? And I'm like, oh no!
They've done the math.
Yeah,
it's-
I've done the math. It's like, here's this Clan Omnimech versus my 6-pack of Urbies. Have at it.
Exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, one Clan Omnivac, fine. In an open ground, yeah, that's going to clap. In a city fight, all of a sudden, you have a bunch of Urbies. Welcome. He thinks he's playing 4D chess. You're going to show him what checkers looks like, one DFA at a time. King me.
Hello.
Welcome to Irby Town.
Welcome to Irby Town.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next awesome we have to talk about is the 8T, seen in 2815, and it's got that movement profile of 3.5. It's got that small laser in the head, as is tradition. It's got an LRM-15 in both the right torso and the left torso, and then each arm has a large laser now. It's got 23 heat sinks. It's got that 2 tons of ammo in the center torso. And yeah, so it's dropped some heat sinks to get an extra large, or to get a extra, large laser, not an extended range, or you know what I mean.
I wish I had an extended range.
I get what you mean. Not an extra large, but an extra large laser.
Yes.
It's like that diagram we all had to do in school, eat, shoots, and leaves. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like, put the commas in the right place. One's a murder, one's a panda. And you're like, uh-oh.
One is you eat dinner with your cat, and one you eat your cat for dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, uh-oh. Yeah, I get what you're saying, though. It's...
It's the 8R, but cooler.
It's better. That doesn't mean it's as good as the 8Q, but it's better.
Oh, no, it isn't. But it's funny.
Listen, did you hear my sound?
Upgrade, which is reflected in the battle value, which is 1593, and a point value of 39.
This man's be unsurprising, but this one is my favorite intro tech awesome.
Really?
Because why not?
Boo! Next.
Hey, man. Free Worlds League, we need to use our large lasers because we somehow forgot how to, produce PPCs.
Okay, I have to ask a question, and I'm not trying to shit on you or anything. I'm not. Like, all dead serious. Why do you love the Free Worlds League? What do you identify with? I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I'm just curious.
That's a good question.
You're cracking open the skull and dipping the dipstick to see what comes out.
Right. And well, the reason I ask is I knew a guy. It was a guy I went to college with. He was a Chinese immigrant, and he was the most turbo denim cowboy American I had ever met. He just went over the top. Loved the dude. Really cool guy. He played the Capellan Confederation as a tip of the hat to his former government, and he played them completely over the top, and he painted them all up to look like a Chinese military parade.
Nice.
And that was his thing.
Well done.
And so I was like, oh, I get why you played. It's like your little, tip of the hat at it. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, okay, I get that. And that makes sense to me.
That tracks.
Like, right. I've met another dude who, when I was a kid, he was into Kirita, Japanese-American family. He had the full kimono, everything immaculately painted. His dad was there with him, expected him to kick ass, and he did. It was awesome. I was like, there's 2 generations of a family, boom, bonding over a cool robot. That's what I like to see, And so I get it. It's just,
I'm definitely in I enjoy the original idea of the Free Worlds League as being like, we're a bunch of planets who stuck together because we need to protect each other. And democracy, even though that's not really the thing anymore.
Well, no, and I get that. It's one of those things where in Battletech, you find one of 2 people jumping onto something. It's people who are peripherally, not peripherally, but peripherally related, who go, that's blank, and they insert what I like the country. You know what I mean? So they're like, that's Freedom Land, or that's Freedonia, or whatever.
But they're Space America.
Right,
Space
and it's
America.
not. And none of it is, because,
Yeah.
like, if you look at the organization of the Free Worlds League, for example, it's the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's 50 duchies in a trench coat pretending to be a nation. What I love about Merrick is that one meme where there's the guy putting his hand out to help someone over the roof, and they're going,
and then Merrick with the 2x4.
yeah, going
it's
not
just
so
a clone.
fast. Yeah,
It's just a clone.
exactly.
They're all the same person.
Exactly. That's a Merrick situation.
It's exactly another reason why I love Merrick. Is it's just like, we might hate each other, but we hate everyone else more.
When I think that's fun, because the players who like embrace that and go like, yeah, we're like that big rambunctious crazy family of people that are constantly getting in fights, but then if you f with one of us, we burn your house down. Like
Exactly. Burn them down.
Hey, that's our village idiot.
right. It's like, hey, you don't bully that guy. Don't punch my guy around.
Only I could punch him.
Exactly. And that's why I like people who grab onto things. I think it's kind of interesting to see why people like what they like, because it shows why they got into Battletech. And with the Awesome and stuff like that, I embraced the Awesome because it was one of the first mechs I saw, and it was tough and durable and simple. And I saw those as things that emulated that I wanted to be. Just not an over complex or over emotional or anything, like very young me was, I looked at like Spock or something. That's who I wanted to be, just like in control and smart, but respected for being a smart person, but not emotional and
Logical, can back up why you did what you did.
right. And so I see I saw robot choices. People like, oh, this one has the 80 weapons, that one has that, and I was like, which one's the good one? And they said, well, what do you mean? And I said, the one that's always there. And that's what I wanted. And as much as many years, decades have passed, I mean, it's the same. The Awesome is the enduring span of the Inner Sphere and everything else in Battletech. It's one of those yardsticks of civilization.
Yeah. Have Awesome will travel. Might not travel very fast, but you'll get there.
It's true. I mean, also arguably it can be one of those machines that could be the poster child of the franchise. It's been around so much. It is a unique design to this universe. It doesn't quite pop as much as the Atlas,
Yeah.
Well, no, the Atlas has the spooky skull face,
Spooky, scary skeletons.
And one of the things I love art-wise, and also one of the things I love to look at is I love Northern Mexican art. And so like Day of the Dead, the sugar skulls and I love looking up at like how you'll find a lot of death cults, for instance, where they'll take someone who is living and when they make them a saint or canonize them, they'll make a death cult of that version. So there's like a sugar skull version of this like idealized saint or something. It's really interesting culturally to discover. So when I saw the awesome with that skull, people were like, oh, that's very, 1980s cartoon Hanna-Barbera bad guy. And I was like, no, it kind of grabs you on a level because it's a stylized skull, right? Like seeing a skull on an emblem of a military uniform, like a skull and crossbones on a flag. It's very grabbing in a certain way. So yeah, I mean, it's no Atlas in that it has instant recognition, but where it counts, I would say it has everything.
Oh yeah, you very rarely run into people who have played the game for any length of time and go, "What is this?" And then they're not able to point out an awesome. Like, it's just one of those staple mechs that is just always there.
It might as well have the design quirk of ubiquitous.
Yes.
So next up in 2980, we have the 8V, and this guy's got a movement profile of 3.5. It's got that small laser in the head, an LRM-15 in the right torso, a large laser in the left torso, and a PPC in the right arm. It's got 28 heat sinks. It's got 2 tons of ammo in the center torso. It is a combination of several of the models we've already talked about, and it is disappointing all of their parents.
Yes, entirely true. It reminds me of the Liao Marauder with having 1 PPC and 1 large laser. It's just like, choose one.
You get one. You don't get both.
It's one of those things where it sounds like you had a really bad manager, right? And he goes, all right, what do you want? You're like, man, I wish I had more variety in my life. It's just, work's getting to me. The job, I'm not seeing the kids as much as I used to. And they're like, yeah, I heard you. And you go back into the office and he's like, I saw it half your desk off and the coffee is now 3 times as hot and the lamp is 4 times as bright. And you're like, what? And he's like, I made changes. You'll get used to it. And then he leaves.
You got variety.
That's that awesome. Yeah, you got your variety. That's that awesome.
Monkey's paw.
Yeah.
It's a kitchen sink of weapons, but, they'll still kill you.
Well, you know how in Oblivion, there's the slider thing where you hit random?
Yep.
Yeah, that's that one.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Good times.
I'm surprised it doesn't have like jump jets on 1 leg or something.
That would be funny.
Well, this guy's got a battle value of 1510 and a point value of 39 and is disappointing all around, I think.
I mean, it's still an awesome. It'll still murder you. You're just going to be laughing while you die.
It is the awesome you build an AQ out of. You put the other 2 PPCs in, and it's done.
Yeah. It's the rebuild that you're working towards.
Yeah. It's like, I got all these weapons, and I got an awesome that's missing everything but, one of the PPCs. So this is what I got.
Well, now we are going to hop forward to just before the clan invasion in 3049 with the 9M. And this guy is a little different. It's got a movement profile of 4.6, which is good because, clans are about to show up and Omnimechs are a lot faster. So considering speed is a problem for the awesome, that's good. It's got a small pulse laser in the head, a medium pulse laser in the center torso, a Streak SRM-2 in the center torso, an ER PPC in the right torso, an ER PPC in the left torso, and an ER PPC in the right arm, and then a Streak SRM-2 in the left arm. It's got 20 double heat sinks. It's got a XL engine. It's got 50 shots for 1 ton of ammo in the left leg because magic TARDIS ammo feed belts in BattleTech. And a lot of double heat sinks because 12 of them are in the engine. And
I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna say it.
Do it.
This one. And no, let me explain why.
I don't disagree.
Let me tell you. All right, so hey Brent.
yes.
All right, so you own awesomes, right? You own all these awesomes. You own all these 8Qs you bought back during the day, right? You own all these awesomes. You have 100 awesomes on your world in the Free Worlds League there, Brent. You got all those awesomes, right?
Mm-hmm. You know what? I want to upgrade them. What do you got?
Oh, you want to upgrade them. Tell you what. For the price of another awesome, what if I put an engine in there that if, you know how in the old awesome when like a shot went through the side torso, it just kept fighting,
Yeah, that was great. I love that. It's so good.
Yeah, guess what? For another, and I promise you, totally worth it.
Okay.
All right, for another 9 kph, 9 9 kph. I will give you the ability to instantly explode when that side torso is breached for another 9 kph. How is that a deal, right? But don't worry, I got more. Let's get in there. Okay, so you know how the old Awesome didn't ammunition explode at all for any reason, right?
It was great. Ammo independent. It could go on long deployments.
Yeah, let's go ahead and put ammo in there. No, we need ammo in there. And you know what? It needs to be streak ammo because it needs to be expensive.
Okay.
Oh, you know that small laser, the cheapo small laser, in the head, the little one. That's
we basically don't have to buy them because we've got pallets of them out back.
Yeah, let's replace that with a pulse laser.
I mean, the pulse laser is good, but how expensive
No,
is it right
don't
now?
worry. Shut up. Don't worry about it. No, look. You know what we need to do? We need to put the ammo in the leg, and then we need to put the SRM to... Okay, hold on. Look, we're going to figure it out, but you need to buy the out of these.
That you're not selling me on this. I mean, Don Draper, you are not.
The Awesome at 9M, because you're dumb.
Look, I'm not going to say the Freeworld League was at their best.
I mean,
This is the same era where we went, we don't need case on those stalkers. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, who cares? They're stalkers. They'll blow up, the pilot dies, you shake the dust out, and you rebuild the stalker. So so I'm not lying. It's hose him out, put another guy in there. This is how the Succession Wars worked. It was like, oh, hey, there's your new mech. They're hosing it down now, and we'll have new glass on Thursday. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Timmy, good news. You're getting a new mech now that you're about to graduate from the academy. Bad news, your dad's dead.
Yeah, and not only that, academy, that you mean the parking lot of Shoney's. So when it comes down to like the 9M, the 9M, I think, is a good idea. It's a good idea of a base upgrade, but you could get everything you wanted out of the Awesome by just replacing it with double heat sinks.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, even just taking out the streaks and giving it some more, another double heat sink or two, if it has the slots for it.
Well, I would say if you want to upgrade the Awesome in 49, no XL engine, just double heat sinks because Intersphere heat sinks as is, and then the rest in good armor, and then just keep the solid PPCs. And you do an iterative design upgrade until the Intersphere can make much better armor and all these other fun things.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. The one nice thing is they didn't go whole hog and decide to put endo steel on it. So, I mean,
well, no,
that is a nice thing.
Endo steel is one of those things where it's like, hey, you know that thing we make? And it's like, yeah, that I love that mech we make. It's fantastic. And everyone goes, yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. Hey, what if we can make that like just a little bit lighter? Like a little bit, not a lot, just a bit lighter. And they're like, wow. So what would we have to do that? And it's like, well, we'd have to make it in space. And so it's like when someone for a project in project management goes, yeah, I need a rare material for this project. And you're like, oh, what? A rare earth metal? Iridium? Copper? Gems? They're like, space metal. And you're like, what?
It's called unobtainium. Yeah. And I'm going to need several tons of it,
Need me some of that space titanium to make a skeleton out of.
It's diminishing returns.
Right. It's pushing as far as you can.
Yeah.
It's pushing as far as you can at any cost because it's 0G manufacturing. That's where you make endo steel. It is 0G manufacturing. It's rhenium, aluminum, titanium, and steel. And it's just this really bonkers rare thing, and very few forges make it in the inner sphere. And so when you say, I want to make something out of endo steel and mass manufacture it, that's just like saying, yes, I have a new house design I would like you to see. My building construction material is compressed cocaine. It just becomes expensive beyond calculation.
Indeed. I mean, like, it doesn't, like, in canon, most of the Inner Sphere have a backlog of endo steel of like 5 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are starting to realize how much of a supply chain issue can be now.
Just a little bit.
So
yeah.
No, Brent. There's no.
That's why we got endo composite. We're good.
Right. Well, it makes sense because if you have something that's rare earth metal, rare earth material, rare or proprietary or difficult manufacturing process requiring say, extreme vertical integration or horizontal integration to make possible, especially in Battletech, when you would have a logistics chain for building something where you would have feedstock come from an asteroid or a planet, and then it gets trucked from 8 different places and then gets spun up into secondary materials and then sent down to another place to be assembled into a third scale composite, and then it just goes on and on and on and on. When you realize that you're talking Indo-Steel and it's all of these rare materials that then need to be trucked to specialized facilities to cast, forge, and harden it, it's bonkers to think that someone would go, you know what? I need that in this thing that's going to be thrown down the stairs regularly.
Look, man, the stairs were asking for it.
Hey man, you say that, but then the military-industrial complex will sell it to you. So
Well, of course. I see Indo-Steel as one of those things where even realistically, I don't think the military-industrial complex would touch it. I think it would be one of those things of like how high-end bulletproof vests are for the fabulously wealthy, or how custom-built guns are for the fabulously wealthy, or how...
Elon Musk would be all over it for SpaceX.
I would say that it would be such a prestige material that naturally you would have a Krupp or something and just sit on it and say, we own Indo-Steel, and just become the Carnegie of Indo-Steel, or the Krupp of Steel.
Yeah. Well,
fair.
The 9M has a battle value of 1812 and a point value of 41, and it's an expensive mess, we'll say.
It is a great project mech. I think it would be like something you find in a barn, and someone's like, well, I got this 9M when they were new, and you're like, It's like finding a pristine Lincoln, that's just sitting in somebody's barn, and you're like, oh, wow, that's really nice. And then they're like, yeah, you want it?
What's that
And
thing
then
under the top? I don't know. My grandpa, had it forever. There's just some amazing vintage car that is, there.
But again, it's like, do I need it? And as this awesome goes, I never see them anywhere. Like, I've never seen people field them in tabletop. I never see people take them in MechWarrior Online, Alpha Strike. The 9M is one of those things where I rarely, if ever, see it. And I think it's because of its premium cost, it becomes abhorrent to field when that is a substantial amount of points to put in other things.
I feel like the 9M is a op-4 machine that you get by rolling dice on the table,
It feels like that. It's just like a normal bad guy plus 10%. It does not feel like a massive upgrade for what it is. Plus, that other 400 points of battle value is substantial when you consider you're fielding an assault lance at a time. That shit adds up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we have our first named model. We are going back to the 8Q Smith, which is listed as the Awesome Smith-FLU in Megamech. So if you have some trouble finding it, that's why. It is a interesting little rebuild sort of thing. It's got a movement profile of 4/6. It's got the Streak SRM2s in the left arm, an ERPPC Clan in the right arm, ERPPC Clan in the left torso, an Ultra AC5 Clan in the right torso, a medium pulse laser center torso inner sphere, Streak SRM2 center torso, and a small pulse laser in the head inner sphere. It's got 20 double heat sinks and an XL engine, so it really is kind of a 9M, but upgraded with clan tech, and this is the personal ride of...
Captain Richard Smith.
Richard Smith.
Yep, the commander of the Black Omens.
It's one of those things where you look at the battle value, it's off the charts because clan tech and all that.
Yep.
But it also, when I get into custom variants and battle tech, I will sit there, and one of the comments I will get in videos that always makes me like laugh my ass off, because I just am like, yeah, I guess you're right. It's one of those moments where I go, yeah, sure, you're right. And I don't even argue with people. I'll sit there and I'll go like, hey, I like the 8Q or whatever. Obviously very simple. But if you look at the 8Q in terms of points, we've gone over it. It's a hair over 1,600 points in battle value 2.0. And
a wisp.
It's a breath over it. It's good enough, it's tough enough, and it claps. And it's the 8Q is effective all the way up to clan tech at 2Q, especially if you play battle value. That thing can clap. But when you get into custom variants, I will have people who make comments and they will go, well, Tex, I'll have you know, my awesome. And then they will have, again, something like that, where they do all these custom things to make it 10 times better than the one I like, at the cost of like 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, of course, you're right. It's like someone pulling up an exact copy of the car you bought from the same year you had it, and then just paying someone to coat it in gold. And they go, ha, my car, this version of your car is better. And I go, I agree. You've spent substantially more money on your version of the car. I don't disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have a hard time wrapping their head around it. A lot of these custom variants, especially when you get into like the Succession Wars refits, which is largely, I think, attributed to the limited technology. You'll find a lot of these field refits where it's like, oh man, it got knocked out of PPC or it got knocked out something. So they like replace this shoulder mount or an arm.
Yeah, like what did we pull off the battlefield on that battle that destroyed it?
And those are the ones that are cool, where you see these piecemeal mechs that become like, I destroyed him, I have his arm and that guy's leg, and you know, it just becomes it becomes this horrible monster.
I mean, there's that Victor that doesn't have a AC-20. It's got like 8 medium lasers, and you're like, I get it. It's weird. Clearly, this is like a field refit.
It's clearly a field refit, and it's clearly heresy.
It's great though. I like the idea of a field refit more or less being like, that'd fit about 12 medium lasers. You know, just The guy's like, do you have an AC-20? And he's like, no, I got a lot of medium lasers. And he just boop, 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 and just puts them wherever. I think that is exactly what happens in a lot of the Succession War refits. When you look at mechs from that era, and it's like, they added 2 medium lasers. It's because they stopped being able to replace whatever those 2 medium lasers have.
Or you're just on campaign enough where you just don't have enough stuff to fix. You're just
like,
grab that off the back of the dropship. What do we got? 8 medium lasers? Throw it on. I don't care.
Exactly. What is the most common thing you find on Battlefield Salvage and Battletech?
Medium lasers.
Medium laser. Yeah. So it's...
Yo, dog, you need another medium laser?
I think during the Succession Wars, medium lasers were probably more currency than the currency. It was just like, I'll give you 4 medium lasers and half a locust for that sandwich.
Probably more stable, we'll say at the very least.
Yeah.
It's a very stable currency.
When in doubt, medium laser.
Yeah.
Well, the Smith wasn't exactly given a solid date, but we will say it appeared somewhere around 3055. And the Clan Tech was gifted to the mercenaries by House Kurita for their service, both previously done and future. And they actually hired some Wolf Dragoon techs to make it all work and do the upgrades, resulting in a battle value of 2166 and a point value of 43.
You know, I dislike it because it's just weird, but at the same time, I have to like it because it's just weird. It's like, it's one of those mechs. It's you don't have to like it,
but you got to respect it.
I'm like, yeah, I have an awesome. Okay. It's got an Ultra AC5. What? Like,
why?
It's so off the wall that no one would expect it.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, if I go into a club and instead of like dressing well or, you know, dancing well or being respectful, if I went into the club and instead like, I don't know, my pants, like I wouldn't have to respect that. That you can be different in many ways, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have the impact you think you are. They're going to be, that's the guy with the weird awesome.
But you will have an impact.
You will have an impact.
Like, if you drove that awesome up, people wouldn't go like, wow, you're custom awesome. They would look at you like the guy who shows up with the tuned up Honda that has the fart can on it. And people just look at you and go, why can't you be normal?
Why can't you just be normal?
And then you proceed to scream.
Yeah. Just,
I also enjoy the fact that all the ammo's in the legs again, because exploding.
Hey, man. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Look, the Free World League just had to channel the Hector back in for the 9M, and then Smith took it to the next level.
Just going back to your roots, right?
Yeah.
So the next model we have is the 9MA. So capital M, lowercase a, seen in 3057. And this guy's got a movement profile of 4'6".
Is this the Somerset Strikers one?
No. Oh, wait, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I had to double check.
You dare refuse my patrol?
I do.
It's got a communications equipment in its center torso. It's got a small laser in the left arm, a Guardian ECM in the left arm, ERPPC in the right arm, and then an ERPPC in both the right and the left torso. It's got 20 double heat sinks, an XL engine, communications. It is silly. It is goofy. It is
the DMPC mech. It is exactly the Dungeon Master's mech. It is like, I am a super one-off custom one that has all the good on it, and it's like,
and I don't have to pay for it because
yeah, look at the battle value versus the 9M, and
How often do you see communications equipment 2 tons? It's like that's
command
niche.
console. Communications equipment. Guardian ECM Street. It fits just in the same and it's 20 points more. Please don't look under. I'm fudging math. I'm special. Yeah, boo.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it gets rid of the ammo.
I will give you that. D- then.
I'll take it.
Well, it's got a BV of 1836 and a point value of 41. And that is the last model for the episode. And it is...
It's a thing.
But, considering we started with the 8Q, which is so gosh darn strong to begin with,
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm just going to say this. There is one awesome that you will talk about in the second one that is the valued successor of the higher numbers. I will tell you here and now what it is. It's the 11H. It's Technocron
I knew you were
going
going to say that.
Here's how we do it. They made Clan Tech, Indosteel. They made everything. They were like, well, just copy them. But in order to update it, 3 heavy PPCs. And it can run cool enough to constantly shoot them.
Which is a big thing. Like,
well, that
is
one, the 11H has one job, and it's Clanners go home.
Go home.
I think
Go
it's
home,
everyone
please.
go home, man.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't get rid of the spirit cats. They're our friends now.
The only thing that is safe when the 11H takes the field is anything behind it.
Are you on my side? Yes. Okay, you're good.
I mean, friendly fire is a thing, so,
Hey,
behind
it works both ways.
It's true.
It's one of those things. Tracers have the right of way.
Especially when the tracers are made out of lightning.
There's a thing called being dead right, which is you had the right of way, but that thing weighed 2 tons, so you're still dead.
Yeah, exactly. But no, dude, that one is the only one that really stands out to me from memory for your second half. That is the clan plow. That is the killdozer of the higher tech ones. And if you take that thing in tabletop versus anybody who's like, oh, I've got this one-off stone rhino, but you use that and it's like a blowtorch on a fly. They really feel the hurt really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because those 3 heavy PPCs can just drill into something.
And you can take 4 of them. 4 11Hs surrounded by faster stuff, like much faster, like really quick 30, 35 ton mechs. If you take 4 11Hs with that is an offensive lineman barging in to start a bar fight. It is absolutely apocalyptic.
Or a battering ram.
Exactly.
Why do I have the feeling that you've done that before?
Oddly specific.
He can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, very oddly specific. So,
I'm a figment of your imagination.
I mean,
It's possible.
God, my imagination is really.
The variant I really want to hear your opinion on is the 11R.
Why?
Because it's just a thing.
Uh-huh.
It exists? Question mark.
Yep.
Oh, right, that thing.
That thing. When the Republic said, "Hey, we can design mechs."
Right. So here's
and then we patted on the head and say, "You tried."
You did well, kid.
it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, I don't know you.
Yeah, it might as well be a different mech.
Why are you ignoring me, brother?
Be strong, Clarence.
If the 11H is a distant cousin, the 11R is like the equivalent of wall people.
That's accurate a statement, yes.
Anyway, so we are going to move on to our pilot profiles, and I'm going to start us off with our first pilot, Lieutenant Giles the Bangers Barnes.
He said bangers.
And Giles served during the Fourth Succession War and is considered an ace awesome pilot. His lance was the core and anvil of Baron's Legion's Werk Battalion. On David, he fought a rearguard action, allowing the rest of his battalion to make it safely to the Comstar Station land, effectively a out-of-bounds or neutral embassy, saving them from the 12th Deneb Light Cavalry's advance. During his career in service of House Kurita, he would pilot a Black Awesome and had 71 confirmed mech kills.
Dang.
I'm going to say this. If you're awesome as black, clean it. That does routinely happen. The service manual says you need to pressure wash them routinely.
Mm-hmm.
You do need to make sure that you follow your stated maintenance. Otherwise, the armor loses its ablative quality, as indicated in the manual.
Preventative maintenance is very important.
Yeah, indeed.
When I hear someone who's like, "Oh, I have an all black awesome," I'm like, "You're dirty. You need to clean that thing." They don't start that way. They get that way. I mean, nuclear ash is fun and all, but you have to get out there and scrub. Okay.
Yeah, it'll seize up the joints. It's a bad time.
It's bad.
Mm-hmm. When's the last time you did an oil change?
God, imagine the amount of Zerk fittings something like the Awesome has. Ugh, no? Okay.
Probably.
So next up in our pilot profiles, we've got Marcus Barton, who is the son of a FedSun officer, Thomas Barton. He would end up being a bit of a Solaris hotshot in his early years, and he would eventually be approached by Archibald McCarran, the commander of the Big Mac, also known as McCarran's Armored Cavalry, also known as one of the best mercenary units in the sphere. This, of course, being 3007, where he wanted him to join the unit. Marcus had some choice words about mercenaries in general, and then they got into a nice big bar brawl. But because of this bar brawl, apparently, he would be persuaded to join the back. Don't know if what that says about his beliefs to where being in a bar fight ends up with him wanting to join.
I don't know. Works out, apparently.
Yeah. Marcus would end up advancing quickly through the ranks, and by 3015, he would be promoted to the commander of the 2nd Regiment of the Big Mac. Many important historical events as the commander of the 2nd Mac, from defending the world of Elnath from Free Worlds League raiders to being part of McCarran's Long March through the Federated Suns. Notably, during the Long March, his regiment would burn down the fortress of Fort Bourgogne?
Bourgogne?
Forgania?
Bourgogne?
I don't know.
And this would not be the first time that they burned this place down. Unfortunately, Marcus and the Second would be heavily mauled during the Fourth Secession War, attempting to defend the planet of Sarna from the Federated Suns' push across the Capellan Confederation. After this, they would attempt to repay the now Federated Commonwealth for their losses during the War of 3039, when they attacked the Addix PDZ. During this, they managed to do severe damage to the planet's spaceport and other facilities at the cost of a Union dropship and a jump ship, which burned out its KF drive in the attempt to escape. So that's a pretty hefty price, burning out a jump ship, especially during 3039. That's not exactly the height of jump ship production in the Inner Sphere.
No.
In 3044, Marcus would return to Fort Bologna, due to the rebuilding of the fortress by the Federated Commonwealth as part of a general strengthening of their border with the Capellan Confederation. However, more notably for Marcus, an old bugaboo from his father's past, a certain General Lester J. Otto, was commanding the forces there. After destroying the fortress with the 2nd Big Mac and challenging Otto to a duel, Marcus would kill him when he refused to surrender after he destroyed Otto's Devastator battle mech. So that's a good kill, killing a Devastator with an Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good 20 tons difference, and the Devastator's not exactly a pushover. Unfortunately, after this, it is uncertain how he departed from his command, as by Operation Guerrero, Marcus Barton was not in charge of the 2nd Big Mac. Personally, I like to think that he retired after the battle over Fort Bologna and lived out a happy life on his earnings. He's Fort Bologna now, because I'm not pronouncing that anymore.
You're Fort Bologna.
Look, man, the French and words do not go together well.
It really doesn't. All right. So Lieutenant Danielle Peterson. So she was a mech warrior, as obvious, and yeah. Anyway, she was in the first Chisholm Raiders of the Federated Suns. So as a young lieutenant in 3025, Peterson was part of Delmar's Assault Lance Tagissi's battalion of the Chisholm Raiders. By 3039, though, she had been promoted to lieutenant and was displaying her extraordinary agility, which made her famous across all the successor states, which is kind of funny, seeing as she was in an Awesome. So, trying to figure out how that all, lines up with each other. This had led to even several Solaris stables offering her tremendous financial rewards were she to retire and join them. While not outright declining at the time of the War of 39, Peterson publicly maintained that her allegiance was to the Federated Sunscale first. She did not intend to retire from the AFFS until they were done with her. So yeah, her awesome was named the Pretty Baby, and she was known for basically making that thing dance. There you go.
Mhm.
Dance, baby, dance.
Dance, baby, dance.
It's just a breakdancing awesome. It's like that. It's like that art of the breakdancing dreadnought.
Every time an awesome dances, it breaks something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much.
So we're going to go on to our data dive now, and for today's data dive, we are going to talk about the C-bill, currency, money. How does economics work in the BattleTech universe? Because, well, it's around and we mention it, but do we really know what it is?
The C-bill or Comstar bill is actually good for a certain amount of set transmission data. It's the successor to the Starleague dollar.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's also practically worthless now.
Yeah, how's that transmission time working real lately?
Depends on which era you are referring to, sir. Everyone
Indeed.
plays BattleTech according to their own views.
This is true. This is absolutely true. But yeah, so the C-bill was a successor to the Starleague bill, and the Starleague bill was actually backed by germanium, which is a metal you need for the jump drives in the jump ships. So that would explain what's backed by.
Yeah, it's the Kearney Fushida cores are all germanium. Yeah, and it's they stored it on Fort Knox.
Yep.
Because BattleTech loves to just overlap stuff, like the Battle of Yakima and all of that. Of course, laid over modern day North America. I love that they do that.
There's also that one Cameron that tore down the Alamo and got everybody butt hurt.
Right. I think that's interesting that they show hey, this is what the future of Earth looks like. And, you have some future guy going, tear that down or what have you, because to them it's nothing, but to us it's much closer history.
Yeah, so the Starleague dollar was backed by germanium, and then eventually once the Starleague fell, because it had unified the Inner Sphere's economies into one giant gestalt, see the EU and the Euro, etc.
If I can remember correctly, there's also House bills.
Yes.
So the Lyran Commonwealth was if I remember was the kroner.
Yes,
correct.
But now, pardon me, I'm doing my best off the top of my head. The Draconis Combine, if we're going clockwise, it was like the Ryu. It was something like that.
RYU. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
I think that was it. If we go again clockwise on that. Okay. FedCom, FedRats use pound sterling. I remember that. Then if you go to the right, I can make a joke and be like, the Capellan Confederation would use yuan if they used real money, but they don't have any. And then if you move to the right.
We use the eagle?
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the Imperial Eagle. Yeah, it's yeah.
But the eagle is the Parliament's adopted legal tender, which is actually backed by germanium and was one of the first states to do that, and all the other successor states followed suit. But also,
we did it first.
They have each duchy has its own printing, and basically all of it is interchangeable.
That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Imagine you and your neighbor have a contest to see how much money they can print. Because that's the country. It's just like, hey, are you printing money over there? No. Hey, where do you get those water slides? Nowhere. Are you printing money to buy water slides? No.
Sweats.
Are you printing money to undermine my economy? No.
But the Ryu, to circle back real quick, in the Draconis Combine, what's neat about them is each district for the paper money prints in a different color, which is a way you can kind of track and keep the economy segmented, which is
that is so
draconian, we'll say.
That's so Draconis Combine it hurts. It's just yes, here's this little thing to keep track of who you are,
and
without making it overt.
And the Capellans, all their coins have the hole punched through them, a la traditional Chinese coins for the money string, which is a precursor to printed money.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love the idea of all of these local currencies being based on systems of exchange. The C-bill, I like the idea of, because it's essentially in practice a perfect currency.
Yeah, like it's the exchange standard between everyone.
Exactly. It's something that everyone agrees is worth the same thing. Like, okay, communication, e.g., being able to find things out, interconnectivity is worth this price. And it would be like having a water dollar, essentially. It's what is this base resource worth?
Before the Terran Alliance, codified everybody under their umbrella, I'm sure there were some local economies that were based on, like, the dollars were backed by water because, ice mining and import was a thing.
Well, any port would be able to set its script. And people would think that, for instance, that ports in the future, just because they're starports and not ports of sale, would be any different. I don't think so. I think you would find whole planets where they say, what is your resource? And they go, we have water in abundance. So they're selling that off as spaceship fuel, drinking water, whatever else. Like, hey, come take water off Waterworld. We don't give a because that's all there is there, the dolphins. But then you would find another world that would say, what is our export? This is the only world on 100 light years that can grow good, stable corn crops or something like that.
Breadbasket worlds are a thing.
Exactly. And so you have to look at the cultivation of planets in that sense. And I would estimate that an agricultural world would just as surely be able to back an agro-dollar as an oil state would be a petrodollar.
Yep. And so the other thing of note is the kroner for the Steiners. The Rimworld collection used it for its currency prior to the Jihad. And also it's got like a whole bunch of different printings because, Lyran Alliance era. So I'm sure there's like a collector's market for currency there.
There's gotta be.
Oh, you have to. I mean, I think there would be because Steiners are strange. And I think that they would definitely collect all the funny money they have because they have enough real money. Why not just have whole piles of funny money as well?
Yeah.
For art, like I think they would have wallpaper of it, to be honest.
Dude, collecting money.
I mean, let's be real. There's a Steiner museum of like finance, which just has like records of all of the money and displays because like they're all about that economic power.
I think the Steiner Museum of Finance would be like the Scrooge McDuck thing, where you could just like take a dive into money.
So speaking of the kroner, we have the krona, which is the R bill or the Rasselhag bill that existed briefly. And then it was when the Rasselhag joined with the Ghost Bear to form the Dominion, they renamed it to the Bear krona.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's also worth a heck of a lot of sea bills. Holy.
Well, that's because the clans are just like, I say this is worth money, and they're like, why? And they're like, I have a giant pile of weapons. And they're like, you're right, it is. That is worth a lot
I'll
of
be
money.
danged. You are correct, sir.
Wow, you have amazing credit.
What's your dollar backed by? Bigger army politics. Got it. Okay.
It's like, wait, you have how many warships and strategic weapons? Well, you are our best customer.
You've got how many Leviathan 2s sitting around? Well, I'll be danged.
We have this new and improved interest rate that we are going to offer you right now. It was set up about 5 minutes ago. It's 0%.
Please don't nuke us.
Please, thanks.
Yes.
But I think it's really interesting because, we see the sea bill throughout the novels as the thing. And, generally when you're talking about the novels and the canon and the fiction, and you're talking about people who are moving in the economy, you're talking about the elites, the people who are able to hop borders no problem. And so they deal in sea bills. But when you're actually talking about regular transactions day to day, it's all pretty much house bills for the regular person. Like, unless you're dealing international, it's all house money. Or if you're a mercenary.
Yeah.
I look at the one thing of it. I think you're absolutely right for just one point of interconnectivity. To query a bank transaction, you have to pay a transaction fee, right? And I imagine that a transaction fee for a house bill on a house planet is a lot lower than a transaction fee in a sea bill to an intergalactic bank.
For sure.
Like, I could also totally see the banking systems setting up some sort of, like, document that you would carry with you, almost like a portfolio or passport saying that we back this person for this kind of amount or this much interest rate. And, it would be holographed or holo verified or whatever they were, the like, you can't tamper with this.
DRM? Anti-DRM?
Yeah. No, there you go. Space DRM.
Like the ability to... The issues with transporting wealth and money are one of those things that is a bottleneck that as soon as a society is able to hop over that, they start to explode everywhere,
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. It's communications, lag, and bottlenecks, especially for Battletech, are the same reason why you have feudalism in Battletech. You need command and control that needs to make unilateral and significantly powerful decisions without oversight.
I mean, they should have some accountability, but the lag time to get a message from wherever to New Avalon and back should and do is a different statement.
Well, I mean, the markets should have some accountability, and yet things happen. So it's one of those things where you hedge your bets. It's about risk management in countries like this. You want to make certain that if you are, in fact, decapitated as a nation by either assassination or a strategic strike or a commando raid or, a snatch and grab or something like that, you want that local planetary lord to be able to hold their together and be able to escalate, retaliate, and move within a certain command space or projection area as best possible. And that is only possible through direct power, e.g. feudalism.
Although it does backfire in that way too, because look at the Federated Suns.
Oh sure, it's
the
a
Capellan
horrible
March just does whatever it wants.
Absolutely. The problem with feudalism is it's a fail-deadly system, not a fail-safe one.
No. I mean, because you could be one of my March Lords, Tex, and decide, I'm going to invade the Capellan Confederation.
And now you're all at war.
Yeah, and I come look at you and I'm like, Tex, what the fuck, man? Like, why'd you do this?
For the memes.
You're basically describing every time I play Hearts of Iron. Like, I'll do my friends, like, alliance, and they'll be like, Tex, are you Mexico? And I'm like, see. And they're like, Tex, where's Honduras? And I'm like, what do you mean?
See.
And then they're like, Tex, where's Panama? And I'm like, what do you mean? Mexico's always been this long. It's no big deal. And, I just keep doing my business.
Most people you could show that to and they wouldn't even notice.
Well, sure. And I just make the country simpler. I was like, these are too many borders. Too many. I'm just going to make that one long, simple country.
Yeah. No more border war.
But it's easy. It's very easy for people to go like, hey, wait, what are you doing over there? Why are we at war again?
So, the people don't like taxes. People don't like taxes. It's just a statement of fact. And so if we can get everybody into one zone, there's less taxes.
Right. I'm a firm subscriber, and if I am going to play a generalissimo or to be put into such a position in a fictional simulation, I am absolutely going to be a Plutarco or a Caudillo, or I am going to absolutely embrace Jefe Maximo as my principle of operation, and I'm just going to stomp on everything. That is my job. And so if you look at a simulation or a game in those views, you can then look at the noble lords of the inner sphere, and they go, well, if this is your backyard and this is your kingdom and your fief, and you do poorly and you get killed, or you do well and you become a threat and get killed, it becomes this really interesting dance of succeed but not too much.
Yeah, you want to balance it so that you appear strong but also not a threat.
Strong but not aspirationally strong. They're like, where do you want to be in 5 years? And you're like, at my
exactly
same house.
where I am right now.
Exactly, with all the things I have, including my neck.
So I totally don't want to sit on the throne of New Avalon. You're good, First Prince. Like, I don't want that. And he's like, okay, yep, all right.
I mean, have you seen my paperwork? I'm terrible at it. It would be a nightmare.
It'd be a nightmare.
Well, that's the thing. Is it's a lot of people want to be the king. No, you don't. You don't. You don't. You don't.
You think you want to be king until you have to do the paperwork.
I think it would be okay to be like a planetary lord, a king of like a whole star galaxy, whatever. No, that is all meetings. It would be all meetings. You'd be like, yes, I am the great lord of, and they'd be like, excuse me, sir, we have some smog reports on this planet, and corn crops are failing, and you're going to need to get some people over there really quick to deal with that. And you're like, I mean, I was going to do something cool, like have a parade, but I guess I'll do that now.
And you know, the Zoom calls you can't get out of are going to have the worst lag.
Not only that, imagine every time you say something with an HPG Zoom call with Comstar, you have like 800 people on there and you've got all their cameras on. And you know that like one or two of those guys in the course of that conversation, like in the Succession Wars, would be getting nuked mid-call. You just see it flash and fuzz out. And you'd be like, oh man, we lost Frank.
I liked him. Frank was great.
He was the best ruler of Bum8. We will miss him.
He will be missed.
His planet made the best crepes.
Exactly.
Now it's gone.
You miss those things. You miss those little things in the Succession Wars.
I really like those fusion engines that planet made.
Yeah.
I really like
They
that
were-
civilization they provided.
That medical technology was great. It helped
It
deal
was-
with the common cold.
It was nice knowing math.
I really like that backstore of knowledge they used to have there. That was great. We knew how to make KF drives then.
That thing of the before times that people used to write down in the word papers. What was it? History. That was good.
Yeah. Well, that is a kind of overview of the C bill and the House bills, and of course we now have the Klan bills, which there's reference to, but not a whole lot of, and mostly we hear about these,
Fox credit.
It's a Fox credit, or is it
Yeah.
F bill, or
Fox credit.
the not C bill, as in SEA. Ha 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 ha.
I got into probably a 2-hour argument the other day about the future of the C bill on the Mech Bay Discord. That got prompted by someone calling it the Fox bill. So
Interesting.
I'm dedicated.
I mean, it's space Bitcoin.
But it is interesting to see the clans adapt to the economic system. Be like, yeah, well, I guess we have to use currency.
I mean, it's the Sea Foxes.
I wonder how they rank as tax havens.
I mean, I wouldn't want to go there for a tax haven.
There are probably whole planets in Battletech called Taxopolis or something that is just literally a tax haven. Like it is a Connex box and a radio station on an asteroid. And they're like, we have 8,000 corporations headquartered here.
Little did we know that 90% of the GDP of the Rim collection is tax haven.
That's what I mean. It just there would be one little planet that would just be like Tax Havenopolis, and you're like, what is this place? And they're like, oh, we have 80,000 corporations headquartered here, including Defiance Industries.
GM.
Yeah, and you're like, well, what do you mean? And you go there, and it's literally just like a Connex box with a radio tower.
Yeah.
Yep. But that is the data dive for the C-bill, the money, the stuff that allows us to keep track of who does what and how we pay for these destructive machines we like to play with.
Oh, well, it's better to play with toys and destructive machines and look at the news any given day. I'd love to argue about battle mechs more than any politics, and that's why I'm thankful for stuff like that, where you can just play with stompy robots and hate fictional bad people, you know?
True.
Science fiction is a safe place for people to discuss politics, ideology, and that sort of stuff because it is separate from our world.
Exactly. And I think that is one thing that is wonderful about Battletech is it's like a morality play, like Star Trek is. You look at the characters and the what ifs, and you can play the bad guy in Battletech or the good guy or no guy.
The thing is, Battletech also has compelling bad guys because you understand why they're doing what they are doing. You know, word of Blake notwithstanding.
Hey, I understood exactly why they're doing what they're doing.
But they have a motivation. That's exactly your point. All the quote-unquote good or bad guys in Battletech, it's for no reason, I decided to turn on everyone. It's usually, unless they're compelling, and usually a background. There is a impetus for it. If you look at the Klan invasion, it's because Comstar went looking for Karinsky.
Yep.
And that's why that happened then. It would have happened sooner or later, but that was the triggering event. And
I mean, the transmission
would have taken another 200 years.
Operation Serpent discovered on its way. Like, it was halfway there. Eventually it would have got there, but it would have been another 300 years.
Exactly.
The clans got so triggered.
Imagine what the clans would have looked like in 300 years and the Inner Sphere looked like in another 300 years.
Here's the one thing before I go, guys, and I do appreciate you so very much for having me on. I
we
really
appreciate
do.
you, sir.
I really do. It's one of the things I wanted to say, and this is a really curious point, and I posit this to all the clan players out there. I know there's a lot of what if the clans had beaten or conquered the Innisphere in 3052, or there's, all that stuff. That's fine. But for real, true alternate history, I posit this. What would have happened if the clans had pointed their weapons, mechs, and everything in any other direction?
I like it. The Great Exploration, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
They have the world's, at that point in the setting, they have the biggest fleet in the galaxy. And they could have literally said, we will do what Kerensky did. And we will go in 3 directions. We will go every direction from the Inner Sphere to find plenty. And they build a giant empire out there. And then they build a second better Inner Sphere with blackjack and hookers and a little bit of honor. And then, you have a War of the Spheres.
Just a bit of honor
just
for
crazy
fun.
idea. For fun.
All I'm going to say is that the Scorpions could do that, right? We're working on it.
The Scorpions are quite interesting. I like them.
It's kind of like that Family Guy sketch with the Pope. He's cooking up something nice. What are you working on? None of your business. We're closed.
Our sources for today are Sarna, Battletech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, TRO and Record Sheets Succession War, Sourcebook, McCarran's Armored Cavalry, TRO 3050 Upgrades, Record Sheet 3050 Upgrades Inner Sphere, Total Chaos, Experimental Tech Merrick, Experimental Tech Republic of the Sphere Volume 2, Ill Clan Recognition Guide Volume 4, Historical Turning Points Tortuga, and Historical 3039. This podcast is made possible by our supporters on Patreon, link in the description. Our social media on Twitter is @OriginOfMechs. We have a community Discord, the Armory of Ouroboros, a link in the description. You can email us at ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your platform of consumption, tell your friends, and share on your community platform of choice. Special thanks to my friend Treble for the intro and outro. Our Ace Pilot Patreons are John Keith III and Metal Ed. Our Field Marshal patrons are Field Marshal Stahlkater and Field Admiral Chiraneau. Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Don't shit your pants and remember to pay the man. There, see? Endorsement.
He did he did the thing.
He did the thing. He said the words.
Pay your bills. Go. See, there.
There we go.
There you go.
For succession wars.
Stay safe out there.
New Avalon in the new year.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
Because I'll sell nukes to your neighbor,
Raytheon?
As one does.
Hey, allegedly.
Raytheon, is that you?
Listen, if you're going to say anything like that, you need to start saying allegedly, or I heard from a friend. You need to
Or
be
I'm going to
very
end up in a
distant.
horrible car accident.
Or for legal purposes, this is a joke.
For legal reasons, this podcast is not real.
This is all future speculation.
Yes. We're
Raytheon,
talking about
no
a
bully.
fictional universe and fictional corporations.
Yes.
Anyway, where were we?
Plausible deniability. That's where we were.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Technocron's
yes.
cool, yo. That's where we're at.
Right into our model lists,
Of
which
course.
is the first model of
Smooth.
the awesome. It'll be smoother in editing.
Smooth brain and editing. Got it.
Yeah. Our first model today is the.
That sounds wonderful, sir. Thank you guys again. I appreciate it.
No,
Thank you for
thank you for coming by, man.
I'm just a schmuck. Don't worry about it.